woman has been arrested for deliberately running 49 red lights in her ex-boyfriend's car to rack up fines after he left her for another woman. Now, this woman hatched up a plan to get revenge on her ex-boyfriend for her loneliness and heartbreak. Now her heartbreak is accompanied by a new criminal case instead. I'm your host tonight, Courtney Clemens, and this is Toe the Line. Although there has been wild speculation of the leaders of Haiti, Tanzania, and Zambia dying due to the vaccine rejection for their country, there's no evidence to support these claims. These presidents simply died. But shortly after their deaths, the U.S. has shipped vaccines to each country to begin distributing to the citizens. Go figure. Yeah. Meanwhile, Brazil's president, Bolsonaro, hospitalized after 10 days of hiccups, won't undergo immediate surgery. Bolsonaro, 66, was diagnosed with an intestinal obstruction on Wednesday evening after being taken to a hospital in Sao Paulo, according to the state-run news agency in Brazil. Now, Bolsonaro once did go against the COVID vaccination, has now accepted. So he seems to be getting a little bit better. NFL cornerback Richard Sherman pleaded not guilty Friday to multiple charges following an alleged attempt to break into his in-laws' Washington State home that was caught on camera. Sherman has been charged with driving under the influence, reckless endangerment of roadway workers, resisting arrest, and domestic violence-related counts of criminal trespass and malicious mischief. According to a spokesperson at the county prosecutor's office, he entered his plea before King County District Court's judge. Sherman has been released from jail on his own recognizance, and the judge stated that since he was a pillar of his community and this has been his first arrest, Sherman posed no danger. Several people reportedly taking selfies near a historical fort in northern India were among 76 killed by lightning strikes during the early stages of the annual monsoon season. Up to 30 people were on the towers when the lightning struck. Emergency teams were checking to see if any victims had fallen into a deep moat on one side of the towers. Some of the injured were left unconscious by the strikes. Others ran out in extreme pain but did not die. How bad did you really want that selfie? 76. It's reported that 28 of the 76 were taking selfies. Can you imagine that? Your last moments caught in a selfie. The death toll climbed to 72 from rioting in South Africa on Tuesday, with many people trampled to death during looting at stores, as police and the military fired stun grenades and rubber bullets to try to halt the unrest set off by the imprisonment of former President Jacob Zuma. More than 1,200 people have been arrested in the lawlessness that has raged in poor areas of two provinces. We covered President Zuma's arrest and possible imprisonment last week. They did put Zuma in jail, and here's the outcome. A community radio station was ransacked and forced off the air Tuesday, and some COVID-19 vaccination centers were closed. Many of the deaths occurred in chaotic stampedes as thousands of people stole food, electrical appliances, liquor, and clothing from stores. Police reported this in a statement. This is a sad tale of more political unrest. South African government hopes that the political allies of former President Zuma don't take this any further. But there has been a lot of unrest there. We'll keep an eye on this story. There's no jokes I can do there. The U.S. Department of Labor said the Consumer Price Index had jumped 5.4% year on year in June, a 13-year high and well above expectations. The Producer Price Index, released on Wednesday, also spiked, rising 7.3% in the 12 months through June, the biggest year-on-year rise since November 2010. Analysts have been expecting a rise closer to 6.8%. The data has prompted concern that the U.S. economy could be overheating, increasing pressure on the Feds to tighten monetary policy. The Fed's target for inflation is currently around 2%. And I'm not talking about the FBI Feds. I'm talking about the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve are prepared to step in if they feel the U.S., the economy here, begins to spiral out of control. The Fed chair acknowledged that inflation had increased notably and would likely remain elevated in the coming months before moderating itself. If the inflation does not moderate themselves, the Federal Reserve will step in and enforce new policy. This is something that we all need to think about. The Federal Reserve, although it has the name federal in it, is not an actual part of our federal government. It's not controlled by the President, Congress, the Senate. They can step in and force policy to control the inflation rate on the U.S. dollar. Who controls the Federal Reserve? That's going to be a question that you have to figure out. I know, next time, because it's going to take longer than this show. Oh. Back to our favorite subject of PETA. Whoa. Tens of thousands of PETA supporters have joined PETA in calling on Publix to stop selling the coconut milk obtained via monkey labor. If you guys don't remember this story, we covered it in our formerly known weekly news show. There we go with the monkey slaves again. PETA targeted Publix, posted a video of protesters in monkey suits dumping wheelbarrows of coconuts in front of the grocery store's corporate offices in Lakeland. An hour later, PETA tweeted a picture of the protesters with a sign calling for Publix to stop selling coconut milk from tortured, enslaved monkeys. They're very serious about this. That's not PETA's only fight. PETA's also in a fight with Jimmy Seafoods in Maryland. If you thought the brief billboard tussles between PETA and Jimmy's famous seafood, or really the majority of Baltimoreans, was over, guess again. The National Animal Rights Organization plans to put up new billboards encouraging individuals not to eat crabs, this time focusing more on the health risks associated with eating the crustaceans. PETA's in a lot of fights. Well, one more fight PETA's involved in is PETA versus Old Bay. Ding, ding, ding. The battle over crabs boiled over a second billboard adorned the city skyline and the back and forth between PETA and a local seafood restaurant, Jimmy's Famous Seafood. With Old Bay dust still settling from PETA's Baltimore billboard, urging people to stop eating crabs, the animal rights group already has plans for a second advertisement. The plans for another billboard is PETA's latest maneuver in an exchange of advertisements aimed at Baltimore's crabbing industry. PETA initially placed a billboard in Baltimore August 22nd, urging locals to see the individual and go vegan. Reactions boiled over online, with some people defending the Maryland delicacy. We can just say that the crab industry wasn't pleased with the stunt. Old Bay fired back with its own billboards, the same way Jimmy's Famous Seafood did. Well, PETA has no shortage of enemies at this time. So between Jimmy's Famous Seafood and Old Bay, how in the hell do you beef with a seasoning? PETA, we gotta have a conversation about your priorities there. But we'll see how this takes place. In the meantime, enjoy the show, Baltimore. In more serious news, a group of police officers filed a lawsuit against the California city over a mural that they said contained anti-police images. According to 5 officers who are currently suing Palo Alto, arguing that a Black Lives Matter mural approved by the city included images that constitute harassment against law enforcement. The mural, which was painted in front of the Palo Alto City Hall in June of 2020, following George Floyd's murder, reportedly featured images of Assata Shakur, who was convicted in 1973 of killing a New Jersey state trooper. It was set to remain up for 1 year, but was removed in November. These 5 officers said that the discrimination and harassment that they faced came because they had to pass this mural every single day on their way to work. Stop shooting black people. How about that? Just stop shooting unarmed, innocent people in general. You won't feel harassed. Guess what? One of my favorite things is someone said no one has ever made a song called Fuck the Fire Department. I've never heard Fuck the EMS, but we've always heard Fuck the Police. See there? The fire department doesn't do anything wrong to people. EMS comes, saves people, right? Yeah. Try it. Just try it. You won't feel harassed. And if a mural affects you that much emotionally, where you have to sue a city for harassment and discrimination against your blue life, imagine how we feel as black people in this country. Imagine how the black people driving through Palo Alto feel when your cruiser rolls by. And we don't know if you're just going to have a bad day, jump out and kill us for no reason. Because I decided to go to the store for some eggs. Yeah. Next, this is fucking stupid. Meanwhile, everything is bigger in Texas. Even their political issues. More than 50 House Democrats left Monday for Washington, D.C. to deny the Chamber of Quorum, the minimum number of lawmakers needed to conduct business, as it takes up voting restrictions and other Republican priorities in a special session. The Democrats believe that running out of the state, running away, is going to stop a vote. Well, it could, because if they don't have a quorum, then they stop the vote until either they change their mind on how they're going to vote, or the session's done. That way you win, right? Run away and win. Didn't everyone criticize Floyd for that tactic at the end of his career? Meanwhile, as Democrats fled the state to avoid voting on a GOP priority elections bill that would restrict voting rights in the state, the Texas Senate approved the bill Tuesday with a party line vote of 18-4. So the Republicans are still moving forward and have also attempted to issue arrest warrants for the Democrats who fled the state. This is going to be a fun one to watch. Former President Donald Trump won a straw poll overwhelmingly for the 2024 presidential candidate. Now, this was just a straw poll from the GOP, but with the support that Trump had in this straw poll, you guys better figure out how to charge him with the felony soon, or he's going to be our next president in 2024. I Crazy Joe can beat him again, especially trying to outlaw Newports. You kind of lose the black vote there. And even not pushing the Emmett Till bill through. The fuck is wrong? Everyone else gets their bill. The Emmett Till bill. We're just asking for protection. We haven't even begun to do with reparations yet. Think you need to go ahead and meet with Ice Cube like you promised, Joe. We're going to see a heavy dose of Trump in 2024. Well, that'll do it for this week's edition. I'm your host, Courtney Clemens. Everyone, enjoy your week. We'll see you next time on Toe the Line.